Welcome back. All right, 13 games in the NHL tonight. Did my best to keep up. It was not that hard to keep up until we got to about 6 o'clock, which is where you have 11 games going on, and then it's chaos. So I did my best to keep up and make sure that I get this filmed and uploaded as soon after the games as possible. So, that being said, we're going to start things off talking about Buffalo and Boston. And again, Boston's been inconsistent. I did the video on Boston yesterday. I've been told I'm too hard on Boston. Boston's not bad. They're great. They're fine. But again, so it's Levi versus Ullmark. Blocker save on Okposo. Samuelsson has a shot that's held. There was a glove save on Pastrnak. McAvoy ends up hitting a post, but the shots are 10-4 Buffalo, 6.5 minutes in. Bruins have a 2-on-1. That's broken up. We get a power play for Buffalo. That's killed off. Bruins just weren't generating very many chances. Toe save on Okposo. Ullmark was sharp at that point. He keeps it close. The Sabres score. It's reviewed for goalie interference and no goal. But the Bruins were in neutral for a lot of that first period. They were very fortunate to come out of the first tied at 0, and I thought, okay, so second period, they should come out really strong. Nope, Sabres had the early edge and they scored. Peterka scores from Cousins at 1:18. Geekie then has a rush chance that's safe. Pastrnak has a rush chance that's blocked. The Bruins press at 4 minutes. They press again at 7 minutes, but they're not getting very many shots. So they're getting that pressure. They're getting to the net somewhat, but they're not getting those shots directly on the net. Geekie's denied and close. We get a power play for Buffalo. That's killed off, but at 16:57, it's a one-timer from the slot. Thompson scores from Clifton. That makes it 2-0. And so Tage Thompson with his 7th of the season. Now, Marchand would answer at 17:35 from Lindholm. So that's the fight back you want to see. And again, it's the captain leading the way. The Bruins then look to tie it, but it's 2-1 Buffalo after 2. Third period. Early press by Boston. The shots are 2-1 in their favor at 3.5 minutes, and things were going pretty well for the Bruins until at 11:16, Olofsson scores to make it 3-1. We then get a power play for Buffalo. That's killed off, but as I always say, that's taken 2 more minutes off the clock. Pressed by the Sabres with 4 minutes left. The goalie pull would happen with 3 minutes left. Zacha had a chance that was held. They had opportunities, couldn't get a goal. Final score is 3-1 for Buffalo. They improved the record to 11-14-2. Buffalo really needed this. Boston 17-5-3 with the loss. So shots on net, 18-5 Buffalo in the first, 11-9 Boston in the second, 14-7 Boston in the third. Final shots 35-30 for the Sabres. Power plays, Buffalo 0 for 3, Boston 0 for 1. The hits were 23-23. Levi saved 29 out of 30. Strong start for Devin Levi. We'll see if he can follow that up and have more good starts now. Ullmark saved 32 out of 35. And again, he's the only reason this one was scoreless after the first. So I can't say anything negative about Ullmark. I could try, but I would take my own Bruins fan card away. Next up, San Jose and Detroit. So you get the debut for Kane. He didn't end up getting on the score sheet tonight, which is weird considering the score. It's Blackwood versus Husso. The early jumps for the Wings. There's a near miss for McDonald. The Sharks press at 4 minutes, and the Sharks played really well tonight. They were leading in shots 3-1, 4.5 minutes in. Sharks are getting lots of zone time too, so this was kind of a bit of a shocker for Mickey Redmond and Ken Daniels. Burrows has a shot that's blocked. DeBrincat fires one high from the slot. The Wings press with 8 minutes left. Bailey then draws the Sharks power play. Justin Bailey's been a really strong addition to this team. Hurdle can't bury one in close. That power play's killed off. Kane was then denied. The Wings press, but it's scoreless after 1. Second period, all of the goals reside here. Most of them anyways. Power play for Detroit, that's killed off. 1 shot. The Wings press at 5.5 minutes. Kane to Sherratt, there's a near miss there. Duclair fans on a 2-on-1 opportunity, and then Costin, unassisted at 9:05. Scores. The Sharks would look to answer, but on a point shot, Rasmussen tips it in. Sprong with the assist at 12:51. And seconds later at 13:03, Rasmussen tips one in again. Sherratt and Kopp with the assist. So it's 3-0. And then at 13:40, so within a minute, they score 3 goals. Raymond scores from Sherratt and Fabry. So it's 4-0. You could see them laughing, enjoying themselves. Why wouldn't you? Well, the Sharks, what's funny is Kakinen's going in. Mark-Edward Vlasic has some words for the official. The official decides those words are unnecessary and not liked. So throws them in the box. So I was like, okay, now the Wings have a power play. They're up 4-0. It's a complete meltdown for San Jose. Kakinen's in the net. Blackwood had a rough night. However, shorthanded, Hurdle scores at 14:06. Uh-oh. And then, shorthanded at 14:46, Zetterlund scores from Ruda and Granlund. Then the Sharks finish the kill. Vlasic comes out of the box, and he gets involved on the next goal at 15:52. It's Sturm from Vlasic and Burrows. It's suddenly 4-3. So that takes some of the excitement out of the crowd, a little bit, sort of. And then at 19:37, Sturm gets the second of the second period from Bailey and LeBanc. So there's Justin Bailey with an assist. He draws a power play in this game, and it's 4-4 after 2. Third period, early jump for the Wings. We get a power play for San Jose. That's killed off. Sharks press at 5.5 minutes. We get 2 minutes of 4-on-4. And then Larkin at 13:20. He scores from Raymond and Fabry. It was top shelf on a 3-on-2 rush. And again, it was exciting. Music's playing. Looks like, all right, Detroit's going to get out of this. It was a big scare. The goalie pull happens with 2.5 minutes left. And I don't know if the Wings weren't really making that effort to get the empty netter, but they had opportunities and just didn't hit the empty net. Normally I write down who missed the empty net, but I was like, Wings will hold this. No. Hurdle. He scores from Granlund and Barabanov at 18:31. So that's the second goal for Hurdle on the night, and suddenly it's a 5-5 tie, and that was a quiet crowd. So we're going to overtime, and at 37 seconds on a 2-on-0 break, it's Granlund from Zetterlund. San Jose goes in and stuns Detroit. They're having a really good road trip, just saying. They're 8-17-2 with the overtime win. Detroit drops to 14-7-6. You can't do that. So, shots on net, 14-6 San Jose in the first, 17-8 Detroit in the second, 13-8 for San Jose in the third, and they had the only shot in overtime. That's all they needed. Final shots are 36-31 for the Sharks. I hate to say it, the Sharks are playing really, really well right now. They're 6-4-1 now in their last 11 games. They might be a team to keep an eye on, just as a spoiler, because if they're 6-4-1 every 11 games, it still takes a while to get back to 500. But their power plays, both teams go 0 for 2. The hits, 13-12 for Detroit. Blackwood saved 16 out of 20. Out he goes. Kakinen saved 10 out of 11. He gets the win. Husso saved 30 out of 36. And I'm sure there'll be a lot of talk about Husso, but I'm sorry, you can't allow 3 goals to the Sharks, 2 of them shorthanded, in less than 2 minutes. So, really rough game for San Jose, but in the end, or a really rough game, I should say, for Detroit, and in the end, San Jose comes out with the win. Next up, we have the LA Kings and against the Montreal Canadiens, and this one was never really in much doubt. So it's Talbot versus Montembeault, the Cylon helmets being worn yet again by the LA Kings. I love that look. I really do. Early Habs power play, that's killed off. Stevens is then denied from the slot. Kings press, the Habs block. The shots are 4-2 Montreal at 7.5 minutes, but at 8 minutes and 13 seconds, Doughty opens the scoring from Byfield and Kopitar. The Habs look to answer. They get some pressure halfway through. Laferriere has a chance that's held. We get a power play for Montreal. That's killed off. And then Byfield, fantastic deke in alone. He gets the goal from Kempe and Kopitar at 17:46. And the Kings press to close it out. So they're up 2-0 after 1. And you kind of knew, like, the way the Kings have been playing. Yeah. Second period, shots are 2-0 Habs at 1.5 minutes. There's a press by Montreal 4.5 minutes in. We get 2 minutes of 4-on-4. We then get a power play for Montreal. That was killed off, and it's another good kill by LA. Their penalty kill, fantastic in this. Press by the Habs at 9.5 minutes. The shots are 5 apiece with 8 minutes left. And at 18:15, Byfield. It's a backdoor goal. He scores from Kopitar and Fiala, so that's 2 goals and an assist for Byfield. 3-0 after 2. Third period, shots are 4-0 LA, 3.5 minutes in. The Kings press at 4 minutes. Eventually, on a breakaway, Moore scores. Fiala and Doughty with the assists at 7:58. So 4-0. Kings press with 8 minutes left. Moore's denied and close. They gave Montreal so little in that third period. Like, this was a very impressive road win. 16-4-3, you will notice the Tony the Tiger magnet because Talbot was great. The Kings go to 16-4-3. They're 11-0 on the road, which I think is a new NHL record to start the season. The Montreal Canadiens drop to 11-12-3. Shots on net, 13-11 Montreal in the first, 15-7 LA in the second, 16-4 LA in the third. Final shots, 42-24 for the Kings. Power plays, LA 1 for 1, Montreal 0 for 3. The hits, 16-12 LA. Talbot saves all 24 shots for the shutout. Montembeault, 38 saves on 42 shots. So, yeah, that one was, I mean, there's no mercy needed because it's not a 5-goal difference, but it did kind of have that feeling when they just kept going for more. All right, next up, Toronto and Ottawa. So, It's Wall versus Forsberg, and here's the thing. Tonight I had to watch the French feed because there was no English feed available to me. So, oh well. Mon Dieu. I'm kidding. This is where I'm glad growing up that I was used to watching the French version of CBC to watch Montreal games here and there. They played Boston a lot, so I would watch those games on Channel 11, which was the French network. Anyways, early press by the Sens. It just shows my age. I'm aware. I know. I hear it and I'm like, you sound so old. But anyways, shots are 2-0 for the Sens at 3.5 minutes. Wall not giving up rebounds early. Leafs press are kept to the outside. Tavares to Bertuzzi, near miss there. The Sens press at 8.5 minutes. Batherson can't bury one in close. Kubalik has a rush chance, that saved. There's a net feed to Batherson then, near miss there. Sens press with 6.5 minutes left. The shots are 11-4 for Ottawa with 6 minutes left. They were playing quite well. Power play for the Leafs, that's killed off. And then in 1935, last minute on a breakaway, Norris scores from Chychrun. So it's 1-0 for Ottawa after the first. And yeah, they were a much better team in the first period. So second period, early press by Toronto, and eventually they score. Marner from Riley and Brody at 1 minute and 42 seconds, and then the Leafs press for the lead. Matthews has a shot that's blocked. Kachuk's robbed on a fast break. Shots are 4-2 for Ottawa, 8 minutes in. Reeves has a chance that deflects out. There's a near miss for Marner as the Leafs are pressuring. Matthews has a chance in close that's blocked. At 17 minutes and 40 seconds, David Kampf scores to give Toronto the lead. Tavares and McCabe with the assists. But with 29 seconds left, the Sens get a power play. So it's 2-1 for Toronto after the second period. To start the third, the Leafs prevented a setup by that Ottawa power play. Really good penalty kill. They kill it off. Sens press after it's done. Domi then has a near miss on a net drive, and Yarncroke buries one in close. It was a tic-tac-toe play. Domi and Robertson with the assists at 3:35. So now Toronto has a 3-1 lead. Sens press to respond, and eventually they do. It is Stützle from Bernard Docker at 5:13. And then sort of an odd incident. So Wall ends up saving a puck. There was nothing overly dramatic about the save. He didn't have to make like huge splits on the save, and he wasn't contacted by another player, but something was wrong. And you could tell right away something was wrong, quite wrong, and he has to be helped off the ice. So all of a sudden, Martin Jones, who's been called up on an emergency recall basis, is in the net. So you don't get time to warm up. You're just in the net. But at 13:03, Nylander scores from McCabe and Brody to give them that cushion back. Leafs press with 3.5 minutes left, but eventually Ottawa does score. At 18:07, it's Giroux from Sanderson to make it a 1-goal game. And then with 50.3 seconds left, it's a 6-on-4 power play because they've pulled the goaltender. But the Leafs hang on. They win this one 4-3. They go to 13-6-4. So watching them in French, they're 1-0 this year. Or 0. The Ottawa Senators dropped to 10-11, so they're back below NHL 500 with that loss. Shots on net, 16-8 Ottawa in the first, 8-5 Ottawa in the second, 17-9 Ottawa in the third. They did outshoot Toronto 41-22. Power plays 0-1 for Toronto, 0-2 for Ottawa. Hits 19-14 for Toronto. Wolves saved 29 out of 31, and then Jones, 9 saves on 10 shots. So kudos to Martin Jones for coming in, making the saves when he needed to, and there you go. Forsberg saved 18 out of 22 at the other end. I'll be interested to see with Wall how long he's going to be out. We know Shabbat's supposed to be out now for 4 weeks, but we'll see how long Wall's going to be out or if it's just the rest of this game and he'll be fine for the next one. But again, kudos to Jones for coming in and doing the job. All right, next up, Columbus and the Islanders. This was bonkers too. So there's a couple of bonkers games, and like I've said, when there's a lot of games going on, the ones with all goal scoring can be frustrating to try to keep up with. So Martin versus Varlamov, the shots are 2 apiece at 3 minutes, and at 4 minutes exactly, Engvall scores from Dobson. It was a turnover, and the Islanders bury it. Barzal nearly adds another. It's reviewed. No goal. Didn't enter the net. Gauthier tips one high. It's cleared out. Horvat to Riley gets picked off. The Isles press at 8.5 minutes. Barzal stick breaks during that. We get a power play for Columbus. Jenner has a screenshot that's saved. That power play is killed off by the Islanders. Dobson to Lee, near miss there. The Islanders press. Horvat stick breaks on a rush. So stick breaks, ending up on the board a couple of times in this one. But it's 1-0 Islanders after one. Second period. Voronkov fires one high on a 2-on-1. Jackets press at 5 minutes, and Bemstrom would end up scoring. he gets a goal from Fantilli and Kent Johnson at 5:54. So there's a goal for you Columbus fans. 3 young guys combining on the goal there. And it bounced to him, and Bemstrom buried it. Islanders press at 8 minutes, but at 10:08, Fantilli gives Columbus the lead. He scores from Kent Johnson and Werenski, and then the Jackets go looking for another. Shots are 7-6 for the Islanders with 8.5 minutes left. Columbus presses with 8 minutes left. Juracek's denied as they're getting some pressure, and there was Bronx cheers when the Islanders cleared the puck. So they were down in their own zone for so long, and they're down on the scoreboard that the Bronx cheer. I'm starting to think fans nowadays, it's way too easy to get a Bronx cheer from the fans. Like, it's 2-1. It's only the second period. And it's Columbus. You know there's a chance of a comeback. At any rate, the Islanders find the best way to win the fans back is start scoring goals. It starts with Clutterbuck. He was left alone at the net. Fasching and Cizikas with the assists at 14:30. So that ties the game. And that's where the Islander chants come back. So much for the Bronx cheers. The Islanders press for the lead, and they get it at 18:51. Barzal with a one-timer during some pressure. Mayfield and Riley with the assists. With 54 seconds left, the Islanders draw a power play. It does not take long. At 19:19, Palmieri scores from Nelson and Barzal. So with 3 goals to close out the period, suddenly it's a 4-2 lead for the Islanders after 2. Third period, Jackets press at a minute. They eventually get it. It's Fantilli, second of the game. Bemstrom and Bean with the assists at 1:28, but the Islanders would get it back. Barzal scores from Horvat at 5:33. Then there was a near miss for Voronkov. Columbus presses there. Riley has a shot that's held as the Islanders press, and then Horvat buries his own rebound. Gauthier with the assist at 11:31. Horvat enjoyed the celebration so much he decided to score again. 20 seconds later, Horvat scores from Barzal and Bolduc. So suddenly it's 7-3. And yeah, this one's basically done. We get a power play for New York. That's killed off. But as I always say, it's another 2 minutes off the clock. Your final score is 7-3. The Islanders 11-7-7 with the win. It's not a pretty record, but hey, they get the win over Columbus. The Blue Jackets dropped to 8-15-5 with the loss. Shots on net, 11-9 Columbus in the first, 15-12 Columbus in the second, 15-9 Islanders in the third. Final shots 36-35 for the Islanders. Power plays 0-for-1 for Columbus, 1-for-2 for the Islanders. Both teams had 18 hits in the game. Martin saved 29 out of 36, but again, the Islanders were just on tonight. Varlamov saves 32 out of 35, and now I need to change boards. All right, so Dallas and Washington, and this was a game that frustrated me at times and surprised me at others. So Wedgwood versus Lindgren, and it was Duchesne's 1,000th game, so kudos to him for that. Good early back and forth. The shots are 2-0 Dallas, 2 minutes in. Foxa fires one high from the slot. Heiskanen has a blast that's held. The shots are 7-1 for Dallas at 7 minutes, and that made a goal happen. At 7 minutes and 11 seconds, Protas banks one in. Wedgwood was caught out of position on that one, came out to play it, misplayed it. So it's Protas from McMichael and Jensen at 7 minutes and 11 seconds. We then get a power play for Washington. That's killed off. And then at 15:38, Sagan scores from Steele and Heiskanen. So after the first period, it's a 1-1 tie. Second period, shots are 3-2 Capitals. 4 minutes in, Wilson nearly puts the Caps ahead, and then Strome does. He buries a one-timer from Wilson and Van Riemsdyk at 4:31, and then they get another one. Beautiful deke by Kuznetsov. That's the Kuznetsov they want to see more often. He scores from Phillips and Protas at 7 minutes and 14 seconds. So suddenly it's a 3-1 lead for Washington. Caps press for another. The Stars, they would press with 8.5 minutes left. Eventually, Dallas does make it a 1-goal game again. Marchment scores from Duchesne at 14:19. Jensen then has a shot that's blocked. The Stars rush. There was a fantastic glove save on Harley, or as Ray Ferraro put it, the hockey card save where you're doing the butterfly and you got your glove up to make the save. So it's 3-2 Washington after 2. Third period, there's a power play for Dallas, and they score on it. It's Rope hints from Ben and Robertson at 1:51. It bounced up and over, and Lindgren kind of knocked it in himself. Not like he did something stupid to knock it in, just he didn't know where the puck was, and he knocks it in. Caps look to respond. Ben has a net feed that's picked off. Shots are 6-0 Dallas at 7.5 minutes. But remember the first period, they were ahead in shots there too. Get a power play for Washington, and they score on it. This is a power play that's been 32nd for a while. Maybe it's going to heat up. Strome scores from Mantha and Ovechkin at 9:08. So it's the 100th career goal for Strome. Kudos to him. It is career point 1,500 for Ovechkin. So he overshadows the goal scorer there. It is also the 6th power play goal of the season for the Capitals. Lundqvist fires one high from the slot. Caps press with 8.5 minutes left, but at 13:47, Dallas ties it again. It's Hintz from Robertson and Pavelski, roofs it on a 3-on-2 rush. So it's 4-4, we're headed to overtime. Caps control early, Strome has a shot that's blocked. The next chance for the Capitals deflects out. Johnston's denied, the Caps take over. Caps get a power play to finish it. They're not able to score. So we go to the shootout, and the only goal scorer was Jason Robertson. So that's your winner. Dallas emerges with 2 points with a 5-4 shootout victory, 15-7-3 record for them. For Washington, 12-8-3 with the shootout loss. Shots on net, 10-6 Dallas in the first, 14-13 Dallas in the second, 12-6 Dallas in the third. Both teams had 2 shots in the overtime, so the final shots are 38-27 Dallas. Power plays, Dallas 1 for 1, Washington 1 for 3. The hits, 20-13 Washington. Wedgwood saved 23 out of 27. Lindgren saved 34 out of 38. So in the end, it ended up being pretty entertaining, but some frustrating moments there again for me as a Dallas fan. But all right, Tampa Bay and Nashville. I don't know what to make of Tampa Bay anymore. I don't. So it's Johansson versus Saros. Early jump for Nashville. Point has a rush chance kicked aside. The Bolts press 4 minutes in. Paul fires one wide. The Preds clear it out. Bolts press after they had a power play that was killed off. Predators blocked. But eventually it's a tic-tac-toe play and Barre Boulet scores. So he gets a goal from Hagel and Cirelli at 13:32. But then we get a power play for Nashville and they score on it. It's Parsonen from Tomasino and McDonough at 17:14. And Nashville presses in the final minute. So it's 1-1 after 1. Second period. Stamkos has a one-timer that's blocked. Nashville ends up getting a power play not long after, and they score on it. It is Forsberg from Yossi and Nyquist at 2:37, so there's Nyquist on the board again. McDonough then puts Nashville up 3-1, unassisted at 4:32. We then get a power play for Tampa Bay. That's killed off. Their power play not effective tonight. Kudos to the Preds for some good penalty killing. Nashville presses at 9.5 minutes. Tampa Bay goes back to the power play. That's killed off as well. Kucherov has a shot that deflects out with 2:06 left. Tampa Bay gets their third power play of the second period. Kucherov's denied. Nashville kills it off. And there you go. Your score after 2 periods is 3-1. Tampa's power play not a problem for Nashville. Third period. Early press by the Preds. They end up getting themselves a power play. O'Reilly has a chance that's held. That's killed off. Point has a rush chance. That's blocked. And then Yossi scores from Cole Smith at 6 minutes and 11 seconds. The shots on net actually favored Tampa Bay 7-5 at the half, but they're behind 4-1. Goalie pull happened with 8.5 minutes left. I don't really blame them. I mean, you're playing the numbers, right? So there's a post for Kucherov. It's cleared out, and eventually, they hit the empty net at 13:13. It is Trennan from Sherwood to make it 5-1. It was a turnover, and they ice it. Forsberg's then denied on a 3-on-2. And Nashville wins this one 5-1. They go to 14-12. They're 2 games above 500. I believe that's the first time this season that's happened. For Tampa Bay, they were 2 games above 500, but now they're 12-11-5. Shots on net, 8 apiece in the first, 14-10 Tampa Bay in the second, 12-11 Nashville in the third. Final shots 33-30 for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Power plays 0 for 4 for Tampa, 2 for 3 for Nashville. The hits 19-17 for Nashville. Johansson saves 25 out of 29 and Saros, 32 saves on 33 shots. So there you go. All right, next up. What did I say this morning? In the preview this morning, I know nobody watches previews, but preview this morning I said, and I wore an Anaheim Ducks jersey because I said if they're going to prove that this year's different and they're not going to end up falling way off the pace and being one of the worst teams in the league, they had to win this game. You're in Chicago, you have to win this game. So it's Dostal versus Mrazek. The shots are 3-2 for Anaheim. 3 minutes into this. Ducks get a power play. Vetrano has a shot that's held. That's killed off. Mrazek was the story in the first half. Spoiler alert, he ends up being the story throughout, really. Minchukov steals one from Bedard. Khrushchev is denied. Rebound ends up being blocked. We get a power play for Chicago. That's killed off. Hawks get another power play shortly thereafter. That was killed off as well. It's scoreless after 1. Second period. McGinn has a one-timer. That's held. The shots are 4 apiece, 6 minutes in. I didn't actually put that. Let me go ahead and fix that. You guys can talk amongst yourselves. Talk amongst yourselves about life and the universe and everything and 42 and why that's the answer to life, the universe, and everything. Just the normal stuff. Did I miss anything? All right, I missed putting that up there is what I missed. All right, so McGinn has a one-timer that's held. The shots are 4 apiece, 6 minutes into the second period. We then get a 4-minute power play for the Chicago Blackhawks. Leeson has a shorthanded rush. That's defended. And then during the second 2 minutes, Chicago does score. Kurashev scores from Bedard and Tyler Johnson at 9:21. Bedard just tees it up, and Kurashev finishes it. And so, yeah, they kill the first power play. They don't kill the second, and it's 1-0. Luneau then has a shot that's kicked aside. It's cleared out after. Terry has a rush that draws a Ducks power play. Minchikov has a shot that's held. That power play is killed off. The Ducks press to close out the period, and the score is 1-0 Chicago after 2. Third period, full Ducks power play to start. That was killed off. The Ducks press after. The shots are 3-1 in favor of Anaheim. 5.5 minutes in. The Hawks are stuck at one shot, but it's kind of by design. They were just all defense in that third period. This was as close to a prevent defense as it's just 5 red jerseys every time you're anywhere near the net, just trying to block you out from Mrazek. Which on some level, if you're the goalie, you have to be like, this is great, they're back. But at the same time, you're thinking, you guys all realize you're screening me, right? So, Ducks press with 5 minutes left. Killorn gets denied on a rush. Strome has a net drive. That's blocked. Goalie pull happens with 1 minute and 20 seconds left. But that defensive wall by the Hawks, it holds. Your final score is 1-0 for Chicago. They go to 8-16-1 with the win. The Ducks drop to 10-16. They've now lost 10 out of their last 11. All 10 of those losses in regulation. Shots on net, 14-10 Chicago in the first, 18-10 Anaheim in the second, 9-1 Anaheim in the third. Final shots, 37-25 for the Ducks. Power plays 0 for 3 for Anaheim, 1 for 4 for Chicago. The hits 10-8 for Anaheim, so not a physical game. Dostal saved 24 out of 25. He was very good, but Mrazek saved all 37 shots for the shutout. So, while there's people who still think like Mrazek's not a very good goaltender, I think he's had a really good year, and he could be a solid addition for a team once we get closer to the trade deadline, or there might be a team out there right now that needs a goalie who could give them a call. All right. Next up, Philadelphia and the Arizona Coyotes. So the Coyotes, I was going to do a video on the Coyotes today, and then I realized I did a video on the Coyotes like just a couple weeks ago, and I thought, there hasn't been enough time yet. Well, I'm glad I didn't, because then people will be like, see, you jinxed them. So, Hart versus Ingram. I think what threw off the Arizona Coyotes was they beat all of the previous Stanley Cup champions, 5 in a row. It should have been Pittsburgh that they played, and then Chicago. That's how it should have worked, and then they could have 7 Stanley Cup winners in a row. But at any rate, I think they got thrown off because it was the Flyers, and they're like, these guys haven't won a Stanley Cup in forever. Now what? So, Flyers had the lone shot on net 3.5 minutes in. There's a press by the Flyers at 6.5 minutes. Coyotes had a 3-on-2 that sets up a press, but at 10 minutes and 11 seconds, face-off win and buried. Konechny from Couturier. So, set play off the face-off. Coyotes press for response, but at 13:18, Farabee makes it 2-0 from Atkinson and York. We then get a power play for the Coyotes. That's killed off. But right after the power play ends, Krause scores from Michelli and Zucker at 17:33. So technically it's a killed penalty for Philly, but they know better. So it's 2-1 at that point. The Flyers press for an answer, but it remains 2-1 Philadelphia after 1 period of play. Second period, early press by the Flyers. There's a near miss for Farabee. Then we get a press by Arizona, or power play for Arizona, and that leads to a shorthanded goal. Konechny from Lawton and Sealer at 4:38. The Flyers then finish the kill. That's the most important part, right? But it's now 3-1, and it feels like Flyers probably aren't going to allow much. This is where Tyson Nash was talking about how Philadelphia plays a very similar style to the Arizona Coyotes, and so it's kind of like playing a mirror of yourselves. And I can see that. I can, and the Flyers, much like the Coyotes, much better record than anyone anticipated for them this year. So there's a crossbar for Frost on a net drive. Shots are 4-2 for the Flyers with 9 minutes left. The Coyotes draw a power play. That's killed off, but it's 3-1 Philly after 2. Third period. Early jump for the Flyers, and they would score. York wires one far side. Sanheim and Delorier with the assists at 1:47. So Cam York with a goal, and it was a nice one. Coyotes press to respond. Carcroni has a rush chance that saved. The shots are 6-4 Arizona at the half. The Coyotes press are kept to the outside, and it was bend, don't break defense by the Flyers. Not to completely dissimilar to Chicago's here, although they're ahead by 3, so they can be a little more loosey-goosey with it. Schmaltz fires one eye as the Coyotes press, but no matter what they did, they just could not get a goal. Your final score is 4-1 for Philly. They go to 14-10-2 with the win. The Coyotes drop to 13-10-2 with the loss. Shots on net 8-7 for Philadelphia in the first and in the second period as well, and then 12-10 for Arizona in the third. Both teams had 26 shots tonight. Power plays, none for Philly. They didn't need one. 0 for 3 for Arizona. Hits 19-18 for Philly. Hart saves 25 out of 26 for the victory. Ingram, 22 saves on 26 shots. He was due for a bit of a down night statistically, and now I need to change boards. All right, so Carolina and the Calgary Flames. And is Wolf a good goalie or what? So it's Kochetkov versus Wolf in this one. It's 2 minutes and 10 seconds in. Carolina scores. Nason scores from Slavin and Drury. And the shots are 5-0 Carolina 4 minutes in. So similar to the Winnipeg game, except they've got that first goal. They've got that lead, right? Flames press at 5 minutes. There's a power play for Calgary. That's killed off. Coleman's denied after. And then at 8:48, on a turnover against the flow of play, Carolina scores. It's bunting from Orlov and Natchez. Flames go back to the power play. That's killed off as well. Shots are 9-5 Carolina with 6.5 minutes left. There's a net feed to Martinook, near miss there, but it's 2-0 Carolina after one. Second period, early press by Carolina. Stalls denied. Wolf holds. The Canes press at 4.5 minutes. The Flames were getting pinned down a bit that first 5 minutes of the period. We then get a press by the Flames at 7 minutes. We get a power play drawn by the Flames. That was killed off. No shots allowed by Carolina's penalty kill. Shots are 5-3 for the Flames with 9 minutes left. There were opportunities, but in the end, it remains 2-0 after the second period. Third period, Coleman's denied and close. The Flames press at 3 minutes. Kadri has a rush chance that's defended. And then at 5:42, Anderson roofs one from in close. Coleman and Weegar with the assists. So suddenly the Flames are on the board. And the Flames look to tie it. They're pressuring and Zary. Kochetkov thought he had it. He did not. Ruzicka and Kadri with the assists at 7:03. So the puck trickles through, and Zary just plugs her into the net. Flames then look for the lead. They had all kinds of momentum. There's a press by the Flames at 9 minutes. A power play for the Canes at the half, though, which leads to a shorthanded goal. Coleman gets it on a turnover from Sharangovich at 11:44, just as the Calgary announcers were talking about how Calgary was good at getting shorthanded goals, and then there it was. So talk about it more often. So then they finish the kill. That's the most important part, too. Things get pushy on a hold by Wolf. The shots are 9-5 Calgary with 7.5 minutes left. So the Canes score. It's a set play off of a face-off, but immediately you can see it's goalie interference. You make contact with the goalie in the crease. It's goalie interference, and so they challenged, and yep, that came off the board. So eventually the Canes pull the goaltender. They're down by 1. The Flames are guilty of an icing with 1:25 left during that 5 versus 6 time. Natchez has a one-timer that's held, and the Flames just hang on. They win this one 3-2. It's a comeback victory for them. They go to 11-12-3 with the win. Carolina 14-11-1. The Canes are in trouble. This is a team this is just not right. Not the kind of team that was expected. So the shots in this one, 11-7 Carolina in the first, 10-9 Carolina in the second, 11-9 Calgary in the third. So again, Carolina outshoots an opponent. Tonight is close, 30-27, but they lose again. Power plays, Carolina 0-1, Calgary 0-3. The hits, 20-13 Carolina. Kochetkov, 24 saves on 27 shots, and Wolf, big key saves in the second period, helped set up that third period comeback. He saves 28 out of 30. Nice showing by Wolf. All right, next up, Winnipeg and Colorado. I kind of had to wear Winnipeg. Now, I did double check. I've only worn Winnipeg once for a review so far this year, so that works. So Hellebuck versus Georgiev. The shots are 4-3 Colorado at 6.5 minutes. Power play for the Avs. They cycle. Barron clears it out. It is killed off. Jets get stuck on 3 shots for a while. They press with 6 minutes left. Do those Jets. Colton fires one high on a 2-on-1. The Jets press with a minute and a half left. And just as the clock's winding down, Lowry buries a one-timer from Janssen Fialbi at 19:57. Shocker. Winnipeg's up by 1 after 1. Second period, 32 seconds in. That's all it takes. Connor scores from Ehlers and Morrissey. It's 2-0 for Winnipeg. Remember, this is in Denver. But then at 2 minutes and 30 seconds, McKinnon would score to get Colorado on the board from Taves and Malinsky. So that's Malinsky's first NHL point. Kudos to him for that. And then the Avs look to tie it. Tatar has a rush chance. That's defended. We get a power play for the Jets. That's killed off. Shots are 8-4 for Winnipeg, 7.5 minutes in. The Jets press at 9 minutes. We get a power play for the Avs. Shorthanded rush by Gustafsson. That's defended, but it also helps to kill it off. Avs press after it ends, but at 15-13, Morrissey adds one for Winnipeg. He scores from Sandberg and Niederreiter. Jets press with a minute and a half left. The Avs think they scored, and they did. It went off the back post and out. So initially, the ref deciding it probably went off the crossbar. It did not. It went off the inside bar underneath. So Kiviranta gets that one from McKinnon and Byram at 19:29. But the Jets look to answer. So they did press a little bit in the closing seconds there. It's 3-2 Winnipeg after 2. Third period, early Avs power play. It becomes a 5-on-3. Rantanen's denied when we're down to the 5-on-4. Things get pushy on a hold by Hellebuyck. The Jets kill that off. A massive kill there by the Jets. The Avs press at 7.5 minutes. Jets press with 8.5 minutes left. Scheifele tips one wide. Dillon has a shot that's blocked, and there's some failed clears going on by the Avs as well. Connor gets denied on a set play off a face-off win. Jets press with 2.5 minutes left. Eventually, Colorado pulls the goaltender, looking to tie it. Kyle Connor hits the empty net at 19:23, his second goal of the game, and your final score is 4-2 for the Jets. Yep, they go to 15-8-2 with the win. For the Colorado Avalanche, they dropped to 16-8-2 with the loss. So we've got three teams bunching up at the top of the division, and don't count out Nashville apparently either. So, yeah, things are getting interesting in the Central. Shots on net, 9 apiece in the first, 16-13 Colorado in the second, 9-6 Colorado in the third. Final shots, 34-28 for Colorado. Power plays, Winnipeg 0-1, Colorado 0-4. The hits, 8-3 for Winnipeg. Not a hard-hitting game. Hellebuyck saved 32 out of 34. He was fantastic. Georgiev, 24 saves on 27 shots at the other end. Very entertaining game, though. All right, next up, Minnesota and Vancouver. So what's interesting with this one is it's Gustafsson versus DeSmith. And when the shots are 5-0 Minnesota 2.5 minutes in, the ghosts of wild visits past start hitting me. Like, okay, is this going to be another night where Minnesota just runs Vancouver out of their own rink? Because we've seen that. And I didn't want to see that tonight. In the end, it's not how it turned out. So Boldy has a shot that's blocked and cleared. The Wild were just all over Vancouver in their own zone. There were no easy pucks. If they got cleared, it came right back in after. Strong forechecking for the Wild. There's a power play for Minnesota. The linesman exits hurt during that power play. Eriksson X denied and close. That power play's killed off. But halfway through the period, the shots are 9-0 in favor of Minnesota. So DeSmith really channeling his inner Demko in this. Pettersson to Lafferty gets picked off. Hughes has a shot that's blocked as the Canucks press. But then their fourth shot, and the Wild had 11 to this point, Höglander scores from Besser and Myers at 18:05. The Wild would press to close it out, but in a period where they got outplayed, and I thought badly, Vancouver comes out ahead 1-0. Second period, we get a power play for the Canucks. Kuzmenko fires one wide. That's killed off. Spurgeon has a net feed picked off. The Canucks press 8.5 minutes in. Miller fires one wide. There's more pressure by Vancouver. So the first period was all Minnesota. The second period, a lot of Vancouver pressure there. Hughes has a backhand that's caught and held. The shots are 7-3 Vancouver with 5.5 minutes left. There was a long delay for a glass repair, which normally I'd find kind of irritating because it means this review video is later, but we had almost an 8 o'clock puck drop over here, so whatever. So Canucks draw a power play. Miller's denied. The next shot hits the post. There's a shorthanded rush by Foligno. That's killed off. Things get punchy after a hold by DeSmith, but yeah, it's 1-0 Vancouver after 2 periods. Third period, the Wild had the only shot on net a couple of minutes in, and then at 2:05, Vancouver gets their first shot, and it's in the net. It's Bluger from Garland and Joshua. He buries that one in close. Nice goal by Teddy Bluger. I believe that's the second of the year. Makes it 2-0. The Wild press at 4.5 minutes, but they're kept to the outside. Mikheyev has a rush chance. That's blocked by Faber. Lots of whistles in the first 6 minutes. Lots of icings, and it just felt kind of disjointed. But when your team's up 2-0, that's probably what you want. So it's probably where the Canucks wanted it to be. There's a post for Besser on a break. The Wild cleared out after that. Shots are 4-2 Minnesota at 9.5 minutes. Things get pushy on a hold by DeSmith. Johansson has a shot deflect wide. The Wild press with 8 minutes left. Joshua had a breakaway. That's defended. Does not get on the net. Pressed by the Wild with 5 minutes left. Eriksson Ek had a wraparound that was a near miss. Goalie pull happens with 2 minutes and 45 seconds left. And then after Zadorov threw a hit in the corner that I, just looking at it live on TV, I thought that looked like it could be a penalty on Zadorov. Maroon took offense to that. I thought it could have either been a board or maybe a cross-check. Again, just seeing it in real time. But yeah, so Maroon cross-checks Zadorov a bunch of times. So Zadorov's like, okay, drops the gloves and punches him. So the Canucks win this one 2-0. They go to 17-9-1 with the win. The Tony the Tiger Magnet. I remembered it for this one. I forgot on one of the 3, so 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Minnesota drops to 9-11-4, but that's the first loss for John Hines since he took over as coach. Shots on net, 12-4 Minnesota in the first, 10-4 Vancouver in the second, 10-3 Minnesota in the third. Final shots 26-17 Minnesota. Minnesota 0-1 on the power play. Vancouver 0-2. The hits 23-16 Vancouver. Gustafsson saved 15 out of 17 to Smith. 26 saves for his first shutout as a Vancouver Canucks goaltender. And I miss that when Vancouver wins games at home, they would play I'm Still Standing by Elton John. They don't play that anymore. It's just generic music that it drove me nuts when I was at the Islanders game there a few weeks ago, and I was all ready to dance. Time Still Standing, and then the new song played, and I was like, that's not Elton John. Why does everybody hate me? Where did Elton John go? I assume it's because I really enjoyed Elton John, so that's why they got rid of it. That's my assumption, anyways. All right, last game of the night, New Jersey and the Seattle Kraken. Stupid hockey guy complains about how late these videos are. He's talking about Elton John. Anyways, Schmid versus Grubauer. The shots are 2 apiece at 2 minutes. Jack Hughes has a rush chance. That's defended. Both teams back-checking really well early. Both teams were really on it defensively tonight. Makes sense. Seattle trying to reverse this losing streak they've been on in New Jersey. Their defense wasn't great against Vancouver, so it looks like Lindy Ruff worked on that, and it kind of worked. So power play for the Devils. There's a shorthanded rush by McCann that ends it. There was just the one shot for New Jersey on the power play. Beniers has a chance that's held, and then 17-13, Palat gets New Jersey on the board. He scores from Marino and Heischer. McCann then has a rush chance that's saved, but it's 1-0 New Jersey after 1. Second period, shots are 4-2 Devils at 4 minutes. Cartier has a shot that's caught and held. His next opportunity goes in at 7 minutes and 12 seconds. It's Cartier from Wenberg. It's a one-timer from the slot. But New Jersey would answer, and it's Nemitz with his first NHL goal from Bratt at 9:08. And I believe he's the youngest New Jersey Devils defenseman to get his first goal, I think. I was reading graphics on that, so I know he's young for a New Jersey defenseman. Kudos to him, though, for getting a goal there. I think it's going to be hard to pull him out of the lineup when New Jersey gets healthy again. So we get a power play for Seattle. That lasts 5 seconds, so it becomes 4-on-4 pretty quickly. Everything gets killed off there. Shots are 9-6 Seattle with 5.5 minutes left. The Devils went over 7 minutes without a shot. It ended up being around, 9 minutes without a shot. Kraken press in the final minute. Gord has a rush chance. That's held, but it's 2-1 New Jersey after 2, and then the third period is almost all Seattle. I know New Jersey went a long time without shots in that third period, too. So Holtz has a shot that's caught and held early, and then there's nothing for most of the rest of the period. Seattle not getting much room either early in the period. Howlett at Toffoli, near miss there. Gord gets denied. The rebound's cleared. Seattle does draw a power play. Bjorkstrand fires one high. They cycle. Dunn has a shot that's held. That power play's killed off. Heischer has a rush that's defended. Palat has a shot that's held. 4:24 left. The Devils get a power play. They cycle. Toffoli has a shot that's saved. We get a shorthanded 2-on-1. It was post and out for McCann. He hits the crossbar, and it goes out. He was this close to getting this game to overtime. So that power play's killed off. One shot on that power play for New Jersey, but it takes 2 more minutes off the clock. Goalie pull happens with 1 minute and 50 seconds left. Seattle had opportunities all around the net. There's dog piles and everything, but they don't get that tying goal. Your final score is 2-1 for New Jersey. They win their second in a row. They go to 13-10-1 with the win. The Kraken 8-13-6. I believe the losing streak is 6 now. It's kind of rough. Shots on net, 10-7 Seattle in the first, 12-7 Seattle in the second, 17-3 Seattle in the third. So they didn't give up. They just couldn't solve Schmid. Final shots, 39-17 in favor of Seattle. Power plays, New Jersey 0 for 3, Seattle 0 for 2. The hits, 19-8 for Seattle. Schmid saved 38 out of 39. Grubauer, 15 saves on 17 shots. So there you go. You guys are all caught up on tonight's action. One of the longest reviews I've done so far this season, but let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.